like I said, on a more sad note, we have another rapper. Unfortunately, I hate that this seems like this split is getting normal, but another rapper that we lost due to gun violence, King Von. I didn't know much about like his music, but I did see his name often, so I know he was kind of like becoming more of a household name and probably one of the bigger names that I've seen from Chicago. And from what I've seen in the situation, there's a lot of controversy around it because a lot of people were very empathetic towards him. Just at the situation alone, we lost another young black man's life, and he wasn't even in Chicago. Was the irony of it. He was in Atlanta. They said there was a scuffle that broke out, and throughout the crossfire, there were some rumors at first that a cop killed him. But that was like disproved. Like that's not true. And there was videos released regarding it. I personally didn't watch the video because, again, it's not something I'm trying to normalize where I just, see a young black man gunned down. But from the bits and pieces that I have seen and from people's interpretation, apparently him and Quando Rondo had some type of dispute back and forth. There was a fight that broke out. I guess Quando Rondo had more people with him that attempted to jump. No, I'm sorry. King Von had more people with him that attempted to jump Quando Rondo, and one of Quando Rondo's friends pulled out a gun and shot multiple people. Right. It wasn't just him. There's somebody else that passed away, and 3 other people that were shot in the midst of that. And dude was arrested. He is in jail awaiting trial right now. But yeah, so the controversy of it was basically if they was in the right or wrong, because they were attempting to jump him. And I guess depending on your background, where you come from, and what code you follow, it could be it's up in the air. I feel it was wrong. Regardless, I've been jumped before, So I get that perspective because, even though, you could say like, oh, he's using hands, but anything could happen. You could be beat to death, depending on the severity or how many people it is. So, from that perspective, I do understand, and sorry if I sound insensitive, but I can't see, that perspective based on the information that I have. And I also seen that, Quando was apparently trying to help him into the car and get him to the hospital. So clearly it's not something he's using as a badge of honor. It's something that I'm sure probably changed his life forever, that he feels very, sympathetic towards. I just kind of, want y'all take on where the hell are we, where we at right now? As far as, this, I hate to say this cliche, but the black on black, crime and, how this has become so normalized when we hear one of our young rappers or actors, because we've also had that over the years that are gunned down due to, some type of violent dispute.
Yeah, that's kind of what I look at it at is, it's more black on black crime. It just so happens that the person that got killed happened to be famous at this time.
Right.
I can't really speak on the politics between the 2 factions or whatever. It's just unfortunate. You feel me? We just keep on killing each other. Honestly, at the end of the day, whether I can't say it's justified or unjustified, whether whatever. Right. But it's just, and it's just all unfortunate.
Right. And you said that you were just kind of getting into them.
Yeah. Probably like a month or so ago, I had just stumbled across his music, just doing random searches on YouTube or whatever, and I've never really been a super big fan of drill music and nothing like that.
Right. Same.
But what I liked about his music was he told stories. So I got always, any rapper that tells a story, he's gonna catch my ear just off the rip. Sure. So he was really good at telling stories. So that's kind of what it is. But
did you know much about him?
I did not, honestly. I maybe saw his name come up in like drama here and there.
Right, exactly. Same.
About jabs at other people, but I didn't really know much about his music or him. Sorry to him and his family, you know.
For sure.
It's unfortunate nonetheless. I think it's also unfortunate how comfortable not only our community, but just America these days is just so comfortable with gun violence. Like, why are we so comfortable with shooting or use? And I see it. I mean, I can play the devil's advocate and see the other perspective. However, it's not logical to me. It's something so easily thrown around, as if a bullet can't hit many different parts of your body and take you out in one bullet in the matter of minutes. You know, like, and I understand like there's different nuances depending on the situation. Obviously, absolutely. But like you said, I think it's also, you know, it's just unfortunate that we lost another Black talented individual. To something that seems pretty senseless in the grand scheme of things. Yes,
from getting to that level.
What's it's probably going to continue, and
it's not going nowhere. Exactly. That's the hard part. Is that part of why, which does play into the whole desensitization of things, but ultimately, it's like I know this isn't gonna be the last time. Like I know there's probably 5 more to come. Not wishing that on nobody, but that's the reality of our world in America. Especially
involved in Chicago.
Especially Chicago. That's a whole different. That's a whole war zone for real. Like it's very complicated when it comes to even just living there, existing in that area. Despite what you're affiliated with, all of that.
Yeah, because, and not to cut you off, but, you know, I have a couple of friends that live in Chicago and grew up in Chicago, and I remember having conversations with both of them when, I think FBG ducked, when his situation happened. I remember, you know, just kind of get more of a sense of understanding, because that's just something I often do. I'll try to go to the horse's mouth directly and kind of see, like, man, like, you know, what's the... you know, the feeling there. And I plan on having, you know, a couple of them come to the show at some point to give their perspective. But from what he was telling me is like, you know, like, people outside looking in don't understand that this, like, it stems back decades, you know, with their cliques that go at each other because, you know, you have people that died. You have family members that died. Right. So it's like... it's easy for us to say, like, you know, just stop. But for them, you know, and then, again, them living in the war zone, like, how can we tell them not to stay protected? Exactly. You know what I mean? That was another topic today of, like, you know, should he have had a gun on him? You know, I mean, I think we lightweight talked about this, how, like, you know, I mean, well, I know how I am. Like, if I need a gun to go somewhere, like, that means that's probably a predicament I don't need to be in at all anyway. But again, that's easy for me to say, and I'm not in that lifestyle right now.
You never know, things happen.
Exactly. So
I feel like it just boils down, because I mean, you know, growing up like in LA, we understand the
we can understand the
we understand how like we understand how there's a politics of just like I could die today, or I got problems with people that literally live like
I can't
10 minutes away.
Like,
and we have, you know, we have frequent interactions with each other, like frequent. Like, I'm gonna see you, like I'm gonna see you because you live in the same neighborhood, and we probably got issues that we got a serious blood feud with each other over issues that, you know, stem back to probably before we was born or something like that, and you just never know. So it's like in situations like that, you always just gotta think, and that's like how I try to move, which is like, I don't know, especially if there's like a big crowd, I'm always playing the back. Like, I'm always playing the back, just looking, peeping, like seeing who's moving this way, who's moving that way, who's being like extra aggressive. Like, he being extra aggressive probably for a reason. Right. You feel me? He probably got something on him. Let me chill.
But that's something somebody else wouldn't know unless they were in these.
Exactly. Like, he being like extremely aggressive. He either got all his homies with him, or he got something on him, or whatever. Like, I don't know. But
especially them niggas that, like, you know them, and it's like, hold up, you a little more, you know what I mean, adamant tonight than usual, bro.
Right. Like, and I can't really judge honestly, I can't judge either side. If they beefing with each other, and that's like, you know, that's how they getting at it. from my understanding, in Chicago, it gets very disrespectful as far as like when dudes get killed on social media. They be making songs about each other and all type of stuff.
Right.
So I can't judge either side. It's just it's just the fact of life that way. Like, he carried a gun because he was like, I need one, but I feel like this issue stems more to, or we could segue more so into like the mental issues that we dealing with as young black men.
The same thing.
Where it's like, even the way we talking about it right now is like, we have a way that we act so we can survive our own environment. Like, we have to consider certain things, like, okay, why they moving like that?
And we can rationalize certain behavior.
What's doing that? So it's like we like, it's low key like we in war, because we looking at certain things, like certain non-verbal cues to kind of like give us an idea of like what could potentially happen. And so it's unfortunate. Man, I think everybody involved ain't even like 30. You feel me? Like, they old enough to know, like, to be over the hump of like, all right, let me get off this bullshit.
And based on their backgrounds, they should understand the dynamic. There's been more than enough examples in cases. You know what I mean? For them to see, like, and then even saying like, Quando. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was glad to see, that side of them, to where it was just like, man, like, I don't care about none of this that just happened right now, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is something that, I have to be attentive to, but I still hate the fact that, like, more than likely, he probably got a mark on him now, too. Just the fact that it was an altercation that stemmed from him. And again, Chicago people, they don't care. And from my conversations with, my friends that are out there, like, them niggas shoot at cops like it's no tomorrow versus, like, anywhere else, you clearly thinking twice, like, hold up, that's they will have a full-blown shootout with the cops and go home, sleep like a baby, like nothing happened.
And to me, it's like, I feel like you guys have different insights than I do. Just knowing people who live in Chicago, knowing people who have been in gun violence situations or gang-related situations, to where they have to know that, like, they have to adapt to a certain type of code. But like Dorian briefly touched up on, for me, it all goes back to mental health in our community. The lack of communication. All of beefs, I can almost assure, because that's the basis of human communication and understanding, is fucking communication, is the lack thereof. Right. And it's always listening to whatever story and what problem happened beforehand, but y'all never try to talk about what really happened, or what did happen or what didn't, or what could be fixed or what could be solved, what nuances could be moved past. But ultimately, it's like, all right, well, there's a rivalry, it's been here. We're not gonna stop it now. Like, that kind of, it's a tradition kind of thing. That same idea with how white people keep traditions for things where there's holidays like Thanksgiving and stuff like that. Things that are celebrated, things that are in the norm, embedded into their culture, their lifestyle. And that's the same with us. Like, it's embedded to, if you the op, you the op. We don't fuck with nobody that fucks with the ops. We don't fuck with the ops. Like, and that's that. And it doesn't matter if it's gang related, outside of gang related. People you don't mess with in our culture, you don't mess with people who fraternize with people you don't mess with. Right. Or you're fake, you're a snake, you're all that. And you play on both sides. But I feel like it comes down to, like, what's the basis of human communication? Or human understanding, communication. Whether verbal, nonverbal, just like you said, like, it be nonverbal cues that have you on edge. Right. But let's talk about it. Why is there so much fucking tension? Granted, that's something I can easily say, being somebody who hasn't been involved in that lifestyle. Right. So, of course, it's easy for me to say, like, why can't we just talk about it? Like, duh. But on the other hand, I know why we can't talk about it. It's deep. It's generations. It's not as easy as just, exactly. Oh, well, that's just happened last week. This happened 2 months ago, 6 months ago. It's a generational feuds.
Which is why I can understand. Take, like, the ugly stance of saying, like, man, we kind of understand,
yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean?
And that's how we can rationalize it, too, in a way, and make it normalized in the sense of, like, well, we get it. We can understand where they're coming from, We can understand where they're coming from because we know this reality for our groups of people in these situations. Right. We can understand why this isn't going nowhere, why it's still running the same cycles, why we're still doing the same things, keeping up with the same behavior because we have to. Right. That's our instinct at this point.
I mean, at the end of the day,
in certain areas,
I feel like it's just it's unresolved like pain. Like at the end of the day, like we all feel the pain of somebody that you love being taken away from you.
Exactly.
You feel me? And then you're in no outlets. You're in an environment where it promotes like, oh, they killed the homie. All right, we know what we got to do. So nobody's coming through with like, man, you feel me?
It's a revenge thing.
There's no alternative. There's really no viable alternative. Right. And then to add on top of it, we have the means to enact revenge right now if we really want to. We got it all on us right now. And then our mind state is, I don't give a fuck. Like, I just don't give a fuck. Niggas run up right now. I don't give a fuck. Like, whatever it is, I don't give a fuck. So
but
it's
I feel like, sorry to cut you off, but I feel like that also goes to, like, what we talked about last episode with mental health, too. Because it's like, when we grieve, we take anger around with it. We don't take the time to fully mourn. We don't take the time to fully think about why we're so hurt. Or it's more like, all right, well, emotional reaction instantly. Don't let it be a life taken by the rival gang or something, because then it's instantly, there's no thought about it. We're grieving, and we grieve after we take revenge, after we make it clear that we're gonna ride out for our own people. But ultimately, it comes down to suppressing shit. Let's be real. Like, it's ignoring shit. It's putting shit on the back burner, expecting it to just eventually go away because we're solving it in other ways. Like, no, but you should probably acknowledge the fact, not just in the funeral for 2 seconds, because we're just trying to get it to be quick and keep it going. Right. But let's acknowledge the fact that, all right, well, this really affected us. They had this impact, but we don't have that awareness in our community. We don't. Mm-hmm. We don't have the awareness of, like, it's okay to think deeper about emotions. You don't have to just think about or act on the surface emotion of anger, sadness, hurt. Think deeper as to why. Right. What can you do to help soothe that or nip that in the bud or remedy that in any way, shape, or form, whether it's a relationship or attitude or a self-narrative, whatever it may be. I feel like that's so overlooked in our community.
And I mean, speaking to your point of the normalization that we have, I think when I realized that I had and I do call it an issue, when I feel like I had an issue with that was when, and I don't F with this nigga at all, but when Whack 100 made that comment about Eric Holder when Nipsey passed away, and he was like, and everybody was like outraged at the when he said, basically, when it comes to the law of the land, Eric Holder did what he was supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the conduct of that world. And me coming from that world, he was not wrong when he said that. I understood exactly what he was saying. And anybody that knows me, like, I hold Nip to probably one of the greatest reverence of anybody that's walked this earth. But the fact that I was able to understand in any way what Eric Holder did, even though I feel that nigga's a pussy, I don't mess with bro at all. He's probably like one of the most dirtbag type of scumbag niggas, you know what I mean? Especially if the accusation was true. Like, because whether it was true or not of him being a snitch, again, when it comes to that world, like, yes, that was like, that is how that gets handled. Because, like, especially like, my brother who was, out there more than I was, in those lanes, like, he told me, like, basically, when you call somebody a snitch, especially when you're Nipsey, like, you have, like, you're held to a higher regard, and you call somebody a snitch, like, you might as well say, like, hey, come kill this nigga right here. Right. You know what I mean? It could be taken that way and in some sort. So, you know what I mean? I feel like he should have, took that to the chin, especially if it's true, but I think a lot of people, going back to the normalization, a lot of people who haven't been a part of situations like that, it just sounded so like,
trivial.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh, like you said that, like, but again, like, there's a certain group that can understand, and like, yeah, it is a problem, but we can't help, you know what I mean? Like, what we seen. So yeah, that's definitely like a great point. Another level that needs to be addressed. Just like you said last week, like, we had a million issues in our community that we have to go through.
We barely touching the tip of the iceberg, and these are major things. And it's like the fact that it's the tip of the iceberg. Oh man, we African Americans alone have so much to
Within
unpack
ourselves first.
just with our culture and everything, our beginning of our culture, the origins of it and everything. It's like we have so much to unpack, the fact that we'll never have identity. We'll get into that another time.
Right,
However, it's
sure.
just like, you know, it's very complex for us. And it's not just black and white.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
at the end of the day, it's like it's a jungle for sure. It's a jungle,
sure.
so it's like there's no mercy. There's really no righteousness out
Yeah,
here.
there's no conduct.
And most black men who come up in that environment and live in that environment, it's like Tupac said in Juice. He's like I'm not shit. Like, and that's the mentality. Even if they don't verbally say that themselves, they on some level through their actions, you can tell that they don't place too much value in their own life.
Right.
And if you don't place value in your life, you for sure not gonna place the life of other niggas' lives. And then to compound that issue, it seems like the only our value as black men in that environment goes up, the less reverence we have for life. So if I'm out here doing anything destructive, I'm like, damn, you that nigga, like just because you out here destroying shit.
Exactly.
So
like how we view what a real nigga is.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Usually it's related to street stuff rather than you being a real man and taking care of your business. That's not what's looked at as like a real nigga in our culture.
Yeah, so it's a sad situation all the way
But
through.
we gotta also think about where the definitions of what, you know, a real nigga, where it comes from. Because ultimately, like, yeah, for the white culture that looks as hip hop inappropriate or whatever, a real nigga is somebody that's flossy, that's hood, that has all the money, that has the chains, all of that. When in reality, for us, it's like a real nigga is somebody who takes care of their family, doesn't abandon, handles stuff within the community, you know, handles real life shit, not just put on this persona and be flashy. That's a big difference too of who's dictating what the definition of being real and showing a stand-up nigga, if you would like, you know, showing what that is. Like, it's very subjective on whose definition we going by,
Right.
Because there's different criteria.
And I hate to say this, but, you know, I'm sure, you know, this topic's going to come up again at some point. Like, I mean, look alone just in the last month, you know what I mean, how many rappers, and I mean, again, like, that's just the talent side. That's not including the people we know personally.
Right.
Like, you know, I have 2 cousins that just passed away due to gun violence in the last month or 2. So, you know, so it's an ongoing conversation, but, you know, as uncomfortable as it is, we do need to continue to have it and, you know, try to figure this thing out, you know, bit by bit at some point.